Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. So, today we're going to have a completely fresh perspective done. It's been a while and it needs to be redone. So, what we're going to do, let's do this the easy way. Okay, we're going to go through and we're going to make sure. Hey, thanks for the follow there, Kieran. I still haven't got that overlaying on my screen properly. I need to try and get that done sorted. Thank you very much. Let's have a look. Gonna go through. Oh, hold on, I'm jumping between them, but I'm missing. And I'm going to delete every single indication bit of analysis I've done on every time frame. And we're going to start from scratch. Okay, there's a couple reasons for this. One, it's good to keep an eye on what's going on the charts. Secondly, leaving the same analysis up for a period of time, whether it holds true or not, it makes it old analysis. Okay, so even though, let's leave the projection there because I like that. So my projection was about 150k. Let me re-add that in. Hold on. So that's double top. Okay, where's the brush? That's the brush. What's that one? Okay. Rectangle, arrow, horizontal ray. That's the. I can actually delete that. There should be another. Yeah. So if I move the arrow in there. Okay. This is all technically projection. Okay. So that's all like. I don't know why the arrow is that. I'm going to leave that there on the weekly because that's a projection. That's what I'm expecting to play out. Okay. I'll discuss that later. Hey, Cuckoo. Hope you're good, man. No, let's delete that. Delete the FVGs. Let's just get all that removed. Like, look at this. I've got all that there deleted. That was actually weeks and weeks of TA that I've just deleted. Oh, right. Let me just turn. Where is it? There. Is that turning it down for you guys or just for me? Okay, hold on. There we go. I've got the music on. Yes, delete that. I've got the music on more as a background polyfill. So, and like it comes through really loud on my headset. Get rid of all that. Let's get rid of all this. I'm going to go through them absolutely all. Every bit I've done. And we're going to start from scratch. Keep saying that. It's actually a good thing to do as well. It keeps you mentally prepared and sharp. Yes. See, that was my look for longs target. Come down a bit further into the area of sport and then come back up. So, I mean, let's have a look. It's old news. The alerts went off already. Let's have a look. Yes, like that again. You know, that was an alert. I think it was okay. It deleted the alert. So that line there was an alert to look for longs. It's possible. Oh, that made me jump there. Who is that? Can't actually see who that one was. Ali. Ah, there we go. Thanks very much for the subscribe there, Ali. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're good. There we go. Okay. I thought my mic was muted. Then if you guys can hear me, great. I'd appreciate it if you let me know. If not, then let me know. There we go. Not sure what you put in the chat there. It didn't want to come through, but I guess you can hear me. There we go. Right, alright. Okay. Alright, let's close this, close this, close this. Link, Sol, Adder, Ether, and Bitcoin. Okay. And the total. Right. Excellent. Nice one, Cuckoo. Right, we're going to start, okay, with the total market cap, okay? The whole point of that, the whole reason for that, is to try and see where the market's going, okay? Now, one thing I try and teach people is like, I see this all the time, okay? People have got all that data, but they're restricting themselves to this time frame, okay? Let's have a look. So if you were sort of like, if you're just keeping yourself on this time frame, okay, and putting these markers, you're missing out on all this data that's over here to see how strong a support and resistance line actually is, for example. Okay, so it's important just to, when you're first analyzing, it's important to be able to see as many candles as you can. Okay, I'm going to start on the weekly. There's no point going further back than the weekly, really, for anyone. I mean, it's a very small use case. Okay, so I can't say there's no point. But let's have a look, shall we? If we start from here, so this here looks like it's just building support, but there's no point marking this. It's too recent to be of any value. But I'd be more interested in marking the top there. I've got a let me move the chat down here for a minute. Okay, so that there to me would be like a psychological support level. Okay, so I'm gonna just rename this one. I'm gonna color it purple for psych. I think that was the same purple I used. One below. Cool. Wasn't far off, was it? Okay, there we go. Template, save as, and I'll put psych support. Okay. I don't really talk too much about psychological supports and support and resistances. Well, I talk a lot about support and resistances, but not so much psychological support and resistance. Okay, psychological support and resistance is a level that pretty much everyone else is going to acknowledge and expect. Okay, so there's a couple. Okay, so the next one would be across here. Psych support. Okay, so because you've got two main levels there, they're relatively close, 2.8 2.4. Okay, we can draw a range. And I will name, I'm going to have to edit this one on. Okay, get a settings. Psych support. Okay, I want this in the inside middle. Okay, style, I will have the middle line took out. I'm not interested in that for this purpose. Yeah, I'll extend it right. I don't need to extend it left. Okay, template, save as, psych support. Okay, so from that I can just go ahead now and remove those two horizontal rays. Okay, because they're relatively close. Okay, the reason why that I've done differently as regular support as psychological support is because that starts playing on the previous range around here from back in 2021. Okay, so that's going back 4 years. Now it is support. Okay, no matter how you see it, support resistance, it's exactly that. But it's also psychological because traders are going to be looking back that far to see how strong a level, whether it's been tested before or anything like that. Okay, so while we're above 2.99, that's going to stay psychological. Okay, it's going to be an area where a lot of people are putting orders in. Just give me 1 second. I need to open the back door. It's very hot in my property this evening, so let me open that door. There we go. Okay, so I'll leave that there for now. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. Okay. Right, now let's go ahead and no, I want the object tree. Okay, trend line we can very easily distinguish. There, I'm not overly keen on that. Let me, wrong one. Okay, somewhat better, I guess. It's not perfect, but that'll do, I guess. So we're still continuing the uptrend for now. Let's have a look for support. We've got a huge area of support, so I don't really think there's much point. Yeah, I can mark that, I guess. And just put that as a regular support. Because the levels have been played upon recently there. Okay, you can see by doing the USDT chart, it's very similar to the Bitcoin forecast that I've got, okay? And I'm not even trying here to get it to really match. It's just, I don't know. Right, okay, so the other thing, I'm going to draw support down here. If I draw at the bottom of that one, it kind of fits a bit better. Okay, and then we've got, let's have a look. So this one, when I'm using my cursor, okay, I'm looking where the level is horizontally. Okay, just moving my cursor vertically allows me to see different levels horizontally, so I can see left and right and see where it's reacted. Okay, so this here where the price is closed, I can have that as support, and it's sat on top. So this, I'd say, is sort of a weak support. Okay, I wouldn't rely too much on it, but the price has reacted at this levels before breaking out. Okay. Let's have a look. Gonna go with a fib before the move to the top. Okay, so we've got straight away we've got a golden pocket sat in here. Okay, that's actually quite interesting. Inside the psych support, 0.5 is sat on my support there, so where I've tried to line up as much as I can on the support, I haven't been too far out by the 0.5. Oh. So I'm gonna draw this across. I'm just gonna sit that on top. Nah, I'll leave it where it is. Actually, I'm happy. It gives me a little bit of a buffer, you know. 0.382 has been respected. The only problem with fibs, I keep grabbing them. Apologies if you can now hear the traffic driving past. So look, this support down here actually, interestingly, doesn't have a fib level. Do you see that? That's quite interesting. So that's where the support comes in on that sort of level. Let's have a look. So the other thing, let me draw now. I want to draw it before the move up to the top. So that golden pocket, again, look, it's right at the top of the psychological level. Okay. So I may as well just do that to encompass them both. Okay, it's right at the top of that psych support. There isn't really much now. The support is in the middle of the 0.5 and the 0.382, so I'm happy with that. The 382's been respected along here. So bear in mind this is on the weekly, so there's not too much really to do. So I'm going to remove these, and I'm just going to go for a closer time frame and do it straight before the big move to here. As you can see, straight away we are on the golden pocket on the move here. Okay, so we can expect to move here on a shorter time period now. Okay. So look, did I do one from here? Yeah, it's not too far. So that golden pocket there is on the 0.5 of this move. So that's fine. I just 0.5 is about there. So I could do a macro support here. Do a macro support, a tiny support, because there's nothing there. Well, I don't know. There's that bit. Okay, all right. It's on the 0.5. Okay, all right. I'm gonna mark it. That's where the fib level was. Okay, so that's the whole market cap. Okay, the whole of crypto on a weekly time period. Okay, so looking at that, there's a lot of information going on there, but this tells us that we actually have strong support around here. Okay, so if I put that there, so we've got strong support. Okay, at this level we've got macro support here, which will take a lot of the drop out if it starts dropping. This golden pocket depends on how strong it wants to be. It's been respected a few times, but you know, if it holds here, it's going to take off. If not, it's going to come back down. So we're looking at lower values. Okay. for now, it depends how it reacts here. Okay. Depends how it reacts on that golden pocket. Okay. But now we've got our levels for if it starts to drop, which is cool. Okay. I expect this psych support to hold somewhat. Okay. Even more so probably around here, 2.75. We'll see. I'm not going to draw an estimated target. That's just that. Okay, now on the daily. Okay. On the daily, now with the data, because we've done all this on the weekly, we don't need to go so far back for the daily. Okay, we don't need to. We can just very simply start our drawings. So just 3 levels of support. I'll put them on the top of the range. Okay. When I say range, this is what I mean by range. Okay. There, between that, the highlighted box. I use FEG for now. So that bit there is a range. Okay. And I'm putting the supports at the top because that's where the price is going to be like an impact. Okay. Let's have a look. On the daily, we can go a little bit shorter range. Yeah, see, even if we go further back now, gives us a slightly different picture. You see? Just keep that there for now. I don't know if I like that. That one would be better, but as you can see, that already broke out and broke under. So it got the retest here before it dumped. That's what that candle was for. And everyone's like, oh no, why is it doing that? That's why. That support can come across to there. Okay, so we're on support there. We've got the trend line down here. I don't really like the look of this one so much. Let me draw a fib. Loads that are high, so the 618 there, support here. Here I'm going to mark as confluence. Okay, so just keep it grey. Here I'll have a golden pocket. I think that's about it. There isn't much else there. So we bounced off this support anyway, which is coming up. But I think for now, that's where I'm going to leave that. I think is the. I can't even draw a trend there really. Let me have a look. Maybe if this was all like an abomination of price, I could draw that one, but then that's quite a lot of candles to cut out. But I do like it how it respects it on that candle. And it respects it around here a little bit. I don't know, too short for me to actually like that trend line, I believe. Right, on the 4 hour now, it's pretty much the top of the range. Okay, so we had a double top there by the looks of it. Allowing for the wick out. On that double top, I might actually just do that. I think that looks better. Yeah. Sorry. Not showing the price coming down. Okay, so on the 4 hour, look, we've got a nice little trend here where it's actually bouncing off, which is pretty cool. We've got a support area directly underneath us, which coincides with where the support is on the daily, which is good. So that's a clear support. Let's have a look. Top of this range roughly. Drop it there. So the thing with support and resistance line, the funny thing is no one knows if they're correct or not until they get tested or retested. We just don't know. Okay, but what I can see here on the 4 hour, which is actually already interesting, is the way the support and the trend line interact, and it's starting to bounce. Normally, to me, an area like this tells me that we're gonna bounce off upwards. So are we going to actually start seeing some money coming back into crypto? Bear in mind, this is just the crypto market cap at the minute. I haven't even started on Bitcoin. So again, when people are like, oh, you're permable, it's hard not to be when you look at the charts, isn't it? Okay. What I would have really liked is possibly for another retest on the trend line somewhere. So you got these at the bottom. It would have been great if that retested it, but maybe it is just there. I don't know, because it paints a picture now where it's, is it or isn't it? You know. Let's throw a channel in. So if I throw a channel on that trend, let's have a look. Okay, that's not too bad actually. Could allow for that little bit of noise because it rode the bottom at the top, if that makes sense. Middle point's been respected. So okay, alright, yeah. We'll get rid of that trend. Where is it? There. I'll keep that. So yeah, it touched the bottom here. RSI is relatively low. Looks good for more money to come in. That's my overall analysis on the total market cap at the minute. I mean, on the weekly, it very much depends how it reacts here. Okay. We can see on the weekly that we could drop down to 2.94, 2.95. Okay. Now, if we look with the synced crosshairs over onto the daily, okay, from here, so we're bouncing off the support, so that there's a possibility that if this support turns quite strong, we come back up, okay. But there is a possibility we come back down to the confluence area. If you have a look at the support here, okay, it's not far off, is it? And then on the 4 hourly, let's have a look. 4 hourly is on this 0.5 and support down here. Let me mark that confluence up. Well, I don't need to. It's on the daily. Look, I don't need to mark it. Okay, so for now I'll just delete that. Okay, let's have a look at Bitcoin dominance. Again, we're going to start on the weekly. The more data we have on the weekly, the better. Okay. So this is quite interesting because I would say we're actually at a point of resistance. We're below just. But I'd also say, where did I draw it? This whole chunk here is psychological. Should I do it pink? Oh, what happened there? Oh, that was the middle line. Oh, a donkey. Right. Yeah, I guess. Stand right, next stand left. Psych resistance. And then save as. Save, let me turn the light on, it's starting to get dark now. Didn't want to put the Y in, did it? Okay. So let's have a look. It's not a huge psychological resistance, but in one sense it is when you actually zoom out. I'll explain why in a minute. The trend's very easy to detect here, very easy. You know, it just keeps going, doesn't it? So that's an uptrend. Levels of support be, yeah, probably about there. Okay. There isn't much else I can really see. Probably some support here where it's flipped and retested. Look, but other than that, it's not really been. It's not really been retested to show that there's support. Do you know what I mean? So let's have a look at the fib pool. Okay, so where I've drawn the support, you've actually got the golden pocket right underneath it, which isn't too bad. Let's do that golden pocket, but yeah, other than that, there isn't much deviation here for me to go off currently. I can see how on a micro level these fib lines are respected as support, but that's where I'd keep that currently. But this is, even if we broke down through here, you know, I'm going to put a support here as well, which if I'm putting a support there, okay, I may as well just do a chunk. Like that, do an area, mark it as support. Where's that first horizontal row. Let's get rid of that. Okay, I may as well just do that. Right, the reason why that's psychological resistance, even though that there's move up, so the 200-day on the weekly chart for Bitcoin dominance started on January 2018. Okay, so there's only a few days where it's only now turned into an uptrend on the 200-day. Okay, it's only now turning it into an uptrend for Bitcoin dominance. Think about that. Okay, now on top of that, as you can see, where Bitcoin's held the majority of the market cap, okay, March 2017 it started dropping. That was the start of the 2017 bull run. Let me put a vertical marker right there. Name it. Movement. Okay. And Bitcoin dropped all the way down to 35%. We haven't seen since then a recovery. Okay. So this is where the chart's telling us a story. Let me okay, let me style this. Interest. Okay. So Bitcoin dominance never really recovered from the 2018 chart, 2018 bull run, or 17 bull run, should I say. Okay. However, it did try, and the peak was at 72%. Then it crashed. Let me try and do. I want to have a look at something. So the golden pocket was in. Trying to do like a. Let's have a look. Golden pockets within that support from the 2018 to 2020 run. Okay, the double top. Let's have a look. Interestingly, the golden pocket for this run so far is around about the 0.5 fib on the long term, so that's quite interesting. Let me delete that. Okay, so this we could say we can expect to be relatively strong support. Now the other thing, from the bottom of this run to the bottom of this run, should we say, okay, a 9.7% difference. We don't really have data to go off from before, so if I was to say there's a 10% difference, or 9.7, 9.8 for argument's sake. Okay, let me put that as a target for the bear run. Okay, let's leave that there. See what happens. A 42% dominance on Bitcoin after this run. That'd be quite interesting. But the other thing I wanted to do, there, 63. $47. Be horrible if this signaled the top, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah, seeing stuff that's probably not there for a minute. That would be interesting to see if that works out. Okay, that was on the weekly. We'll have a look for now, see what else. So if we drop now at this point, okay, I'm expecting it to hold this support and the golden pocket. Okay. Bear market target is here. We'll leave that for when we enter the bear market. It'd be nice if, sorry, this is what I was saying, going back to it, kind of getting into this a little. If we break through this psychological resistance here, okay, if we break through that, Bitcoin dominance has the potential to sky high. Okay, it really does. You'd have a resistance point at 80%. Get that 81.64%. That would be your first point of resistance if it clears this. Okay. After that, you've got major resistance here. What level's that? 94.6%. Okay. People think, yeah, that's mad. It's not going to hit that. How do you know? How do you know? It's good to have it on to be prepared. Okay. Let's have a look at the daily now. I don't need to go as far back. So straight away, we can easily see where the support is here on that. And then, as you can see here, it's been respected at that level. So it bounced off there. Okay. So it bounced off, and then as it broke through, it retested and bounced down again. So this is an area of support. Okay. So look, currently we are above support on the top. Could we go higher? That kind of works, and it retests off here. So if we go there, okay, there's support on the daily. It's kind of hard, although we know there's a clear uptrend. It's kind of hard to find a trend line here that we can draw off. That one would be the closest, I'd say. And the reason for that, I know it's cutting a lot of candles here, okay, but if you look here, the candle closed above, and then it opened above, retested here, candle closed on the line, and then opened under the line. So that to me tells me that that's okay, in my opinion. Everyone has difference of opinions, that's fine. In my opinion, that's fine. So I'll leave that there for now, and we'll see where we go, because we've already bounced away from it. Okay, but on a retrace, we're looking at that support there. On the 4 hour, so look. This is quite interesting, actually. I'm going to drop this underneath these as support for overhit, because the level's bounced off, and now it's broke up, it retested and took off. But in all honesty, I'd expect this to come down, retest it properly. Now that it's come away a little bit, I'd expect it to come back down, retest it, and then see what happens from there. Now, quite clear lines of distinction here. Okay, see how the price reacted, but at the same time coincides there. Okay, so I'll mark that as support. It front ran on both occasions. Okay, but the price has reacted around this level, so it doesn't need to be exact. I could do from there to say let's encompass that and do this as support. Okay, and then get rid of this there. Okay, that works. I'm happy with that. It covers all of this as well, which is pretty nice. Okay, and then let's draw a fib. Currently that's the top. So yeah, even the golden pocket there has reacted quite well. The 786 is actually quite a good fib pull. So I'm going to leave the fib there rather than draw a golden pocket. On Bitcoin dominance, I'm going to leave that there for now because it's respecting the fibs quite well. Okay. USDT dominance. Let's have a look. I kind of want to go through it a bit quicker. But at the same time, I don't want to rush it because you can't rush analysis. But I can imagine for a lot of people watching right now, they're probably getting bored. They're like, when pump? Alright, let's do that as a downtrend. Let's have a look. We are actually at a level of support or resistance, so this is a difficult one. Do I mark it as support or as resistance? I'm going to mark this as resistance. The reason why I chose to mark it as resistance is because the candle is still currently below. Just. Okay, let's have a look. We did have a double bottom here. Okay, so that's a bullish move in itself. We got a W pattern forming. Let me show you. So from the top to the bottom. You know, that broke out to the top there. But there's a W. Okay, so we could even expect that to come back down again. I'm pretty sure I've really got to get into harmonics. I don't know how they work. I don't know how they work. Like, I'm sure that's not right. But that's pretty much a W. Is a X, A, B, C, D pattern. No, I should probably look into it, shouldn't I? But usually when I see that, they break out to the upside or downside. I can never really remember. I'm going to have to look into it. Here I'm going to put a support. It's just below. Okay, so we're literally right in the middle of a support resistance range, which is quite scary, isn't it? I'll leave that W up for now because maybe that will help me. So we've got a double bottom, which theoretically is meant to be a bullish move, which if that's bullish for if it's bullish on USDT dominance, it means that we're bearish overall. But it's hard to say at the minute, okay? On what's what. I'm going to leave that uptrend there, but also leave the downtrend. Currently, we're still in a downtrend, even if this range is up a bit more. Okay. But we'd be looking for reaction along the downtrend for that to hold for us to continue bullish. Short term, I'd say this might continue going up, which means Bitcoin will be bearish short term. It's hard to get that assumption or make that assumption when you look at, say, like for example, the total market cap. You know, it looks bullish on the 4-hour and the daily, but on the weekly kind of looks like we should be coming back down for a retrace. So we've got hold on, I'll go through it at the end. I'm not going to go through it now. I'll go through it at the end as a finale once I've done Bitcoin. Haha, the grand finale. Again, on a short-term look on the daily, this gives us a bit more information that we are actually in a downtrend here. Okay, that matches beautifully as well. So that gives takes a little bit of weight off. Yeah, I'll do that there. Support. Where is that? That's just above where I got it on the weekly, so that's fine. So just from one trend line and a support, it's looking bearish. But to draw a fib, I need to go back. Some people draw their fibs, okay? Some people do their fibs like that, okay? Top to bottom. I absolutely hate doing them like that. I mean, that it's technically valid. Like that, it's bounced off the 786 here. It's coming back down, okay? The golden pocket is within a support range. The 0.5's been respected. The 382, you know, it's been respected. The 236 has been respected. I absolutely hate doing them that way. I'd rather go from the bottom to the top. Again, the 618 is about the same area. 786 again has been respected. The 0.5 has been respected on the way down. The 382 has been respected here on the retests. You know, it's been respected there. And the 236, it's just been front run. So like there's pros and cons to both, okay? So if you wanted more recent, you could do top to bottom. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess, but personal preference here, I don't like doing that, okay? I do it from the bottom to the top. The recent low, okay? I'd say recent low because like that's technically the recent low, but we haven't got higher. So we go from the highest point, and then we find the lowest point recently, which was here. Okay, could argue that was it, but do you know what I mean? That's the most recent low. Let's have a look. Do I mark that? Yeah, I will. I'll mark this as resistance, but I'm going to do it off this wick here. Okay, because that's been respected as well. Look, if you look here and here, although the 0.5 has been respected just as well, that's where the wick up was. Okay. And I'm going to mark that golden pocket as a resistance point, but as a golden pocket, so we know. Okay, let's close this. And like we're just above the fib 382. What can I do here? I want to mark it. What can I mark it as? Let's make it grey. Interest. Okay. I'm going to mark that just as, like, I can mark it as support. Technically, I don't want to, so I'm just going to mark it as an interest because it's... All right, Ali, nice to see you, man. Good night. Thanks for watching, bro. I'm marking it just as interest rather than support because I've got my support just below. I'm happy where the support is, but at the same time there has been price reaction respected there, and it's currently where the price is just above on a fib level. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it as interest just so I can then get rid of the fib. Okay, again, now this is on the 4 hour. This is actually really good. Okay, because we're bouncing off the 200-day MA. Okay, so you see how it bounced off there, tanked down. Okay, we're on that level again. Mark it there. Now the only difference right now that we need to be careful of is that this has started to turn green. Okay, that means that the price is turning bullish. Okay, now let's have a look. Support, resistance, sorry. Got clear resistance there. Got more resistance up here. Okay, support underneath. Let's have a look. Currently pretty much just flipped it by the looks of it. Yeah. But below that support there isn't much there on the 4 hour. And by the looks of it, it's already flipped the trend on the 4 hour. Yes. Okay, that's not so good. Okay, because that's the breakout there. So even if it comes down, if the support holds, we need to take a Bitcoin dominance is going to go higher. No, this USDT dominance. Oof. Bitcoin be bearish if that support holds. Right, Bitcoin. I'm not going to redo the weekly. I do like that how that is. I'll leave the FEG there because it's not been filled. There is another FEG. Is it? It's very tiny. It's a tiny, tiny FEG. Could be interesting. Short term, maybe. Right, anyway, what I'm interested in really right now is the daily. Okay. This will be resistance right now. As you can see, we've bounced off it. So here, I'm going to mark an area of interest because that'll be interesting. We do have a new all-time high here, so this is interesting. Okay. I'll tell you why shortly. Bottom to the top. So if it rejects on that, we have our golden pocket here. Look at that, bounced off the 786. That is interesting. I mean, I've gone and drawn the fib before doing my support and resistance, so that's just skewed up my results here to some degree. Cancel that, put that as support. Okay, so I apologize, my results are going to be not 100% skew if, but I'm going to do that there. Leave it there. In fact, get rid of that, and I'll just do a area of support. Right. Okay. It's not 100% skew if, I guess. Okay, this 236 round here, that'll be quite a strong level if it dips. Looking at this, I'm expecting the golden pocket to hold. So what I'd expect short term is that to come up, retest the resistance. If it doesn't retest, if it doesn't flip it, we're coming back to the golden pocket at least. Okay. Hey, Cuckoo. It's 10 p.m. for me, mate. I'll stop the analysis and the stream after I've done Bitcoin. Okay. Because otherwise we'll be here all day if I go through absolutely everything up the top there. I mean, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's about 15 minutes a chart. Some more quicker than others. Excuse me. I'm going to do the channel. So say this channel here holds true. Works out okay. I'll go to that one for now, roughly. So say that holds true. That's so time to long. Okay, but you're longing resistance. And you want that just under there. You'd have that up there on the daily. So 120, which look, I said 120 at Christmas time is like where we're going. But I kind of feel, what was that? Open that. That's a good long to take, I guess. I can understand why people would want that. You know, I might actually even be tempted to take that one myself. It's just that resistance right above us. I'm sat here chewing my fingernails now because that is, I like the look of that. But then is that a wrongful bullish bias before I enter that? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Okay. Let's have a look on the 4 hour. Okay. So that was the all-time high. Let's mark that up. Okay. So look, the channel's very clear. We still haven't got a lower low. So we're going higher. We have to be going higher. We still haven't got a lower low. You know, on the short term, that's where the support's at. I mean, you got support up here as well, which we're kind of ranging in between. You know, so on that, 104 and 101,639. Put that as support. Let me get rid of these. Okay, I would put that there as, I'm going to put interest. Did I not save it? Thought I did. Hold on. Yeah, okay, I did. Why is it not? Honestly, TradingView sometimes. Could make it slightly brighter. I'll just do that interest. Okay, but then like we kind of pretty much bounced off it here, you know. So that was your time to go long there at 103. Which actually, yeah, that coincides with the channel floor there. And that's just from a support and a line, basically, coming up with the same conclusion. But then is that, like, you have to ask yourself, is that because I have a bullish narrative? Am I wrong here? Let's have a look at a channel. And draw it from there. Okay, that works. And now there's that. Okay, I'll draw it there. Good. That works. It bounced off the middle. It's respected the middle. Not 100% with that channel, but I'd take it. For me, on a do you know, I might actually take this trade. Oh, just below there. Maybe if the RR's good, 120 is target, 6.59. That's 7.26 there. Oh, is that 6.59? Why is that? What's the difference? Lower entry, 102 stop loss, pretty much 103 stop loss. I'll make it 8.57, but it just bounces straight up. I mean, there's a bit of support there on the macro level, so you could even just tighten that up to there. There's a chance of it getting stopped. Okay, that makes it 12.5 going for 120. Do you know what? I am going to open that trade and I'll show you something. So what I'll do, let me bring this across. This is something I'm working on slowly. I'm going to take it on my gamble port, open futures. What is the port saying I'm at? 12.49. So if I do 10%, that's $1.20 on a long. Okay, the entrance is well, I'll do the stop loss for now. 103,624.7 entrance. Let's fill it in on here. 104,842.5. Okay, so it's auto filled all this in. My position size should be 107.5. Okay, None of this matters at the minute. So at 107.5, let's have a look. Benelux C. Let me refresh. So let's go long. Stop loss was 103,624.7. A quantity is your position size, 107.5. Let's have a look. So it should be about $1.20, $1.32. So okay, I've got 12.89. So yeah, it's about 8-9% risk, roughly. So that's what I'm going to go with, and I'm taking that. How can I say it? Riskily, I guess. Now, for argument's sake, because it is on my gamble port as well, I'm going to do this. Screenshot, paste it through on Range and Rambles. And I'll just send that through on that. So I'm taking it on my gamble port. If that plays out, okay, I'll make $12.50. I think, what was it, 132? Let's have a look. 1.32 times 12.5, so $16.50. I might even cut sooner, to be fair. I'm not greedy, but it'd be nice if that plays out. It's on the gamble port, so like I'm just playing around, having a bit of fun on that, getting the stupidity out my system, but which I'm slowly actually doing by posting my trades. Okay, I'm not posting my trades for people to follow. If anything, is to help me, because I don't want to get embarrassed. I know I can make good money, okay, but I make stupid mistakes. And I don't like being embarrassed. So if I don't stick to my rules and my criteria and make stupid mistakes publicly, then hopefully it will kick my ass into shape to do better. That is my plan. Right, so the average entry 104,945. So it was slightly higher than on here. 104,945.4. Thank you, Mexi. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Stop loss 103,624.7. Same target point 120, so it's 11.45. So that's it. Now, that's because on the short time frame we've still got a lower low. We're still in going upwards. Okay. But looking at that there, the channel's changed. Hold on. Still relevant, but the channel's changed slightly. So let's get rid of this one. Still relevant, but now the stop loss is just straight outside of it. I'll leave that. So I mean, sometimes you've got to be careful when you're taking positions. Okay, yeah, like people don't understand this. Like you build a bias. I done it then. I build a bias, and if you want my actual thoughts, is I think if we don't take this point back here, this retest, okay, because that's a resistance point right there. Okay, if we do not take that back, we are dumping, is my thoughts. Okay, we've held here. Okay, so this is good at the minute, but the next point is we need to flip this. Okay, that would be a terrible 1.65. Okay. So it's a good job it's on the gamble port, isn't it? Really. Right. Now, my overall thoughts at the minute on Bitcoin on the weekly, I'm expecting us to come back down, at least fill these FEGs. Okay, so 85, 86 is still on the table. Okay, it's also a point of support here. Okay, I'll whack that there. So that's perfectly on the table. Okay, we've also got support up here at 101ish, 102, 560. Okay, now on the daily, as I said, if we fail this retest, we're going lower. Let me remove that. Tighten that up a little bit more. Just there you go. And same on the weekly. We need this retest. We do. Okay, that retest, same level, pretty much. Just a tad higher. Okay. And the reason why I say that as well is USDT. Okay. So far we've failed to come up to this resistance. I don't know why we've actually stopped here. Okay. Makes a bit more sense if I add this in along here as resistance. Okay, use the data. If you can't see why, zoom out. Okay, now if we bounce off this support, I reckon we're gonna break through that and break up to the upside easily. Okay, we flipped the downtrend here. We flipped it. Okay, that doesn't mean that the downtrend stops. This could keep coming down. Okay, until eventually it's just gonna take off again. Okay. So I don't know. On the weekly here, there seems to be more money going into USDT, which coincides with money coming out of Bitcoin here. Okay. And the total market cap. So it could just be a bad week, which is what we're hoping. Okay. Because the total market cap is looking bullish to take off. Okay. Bitcoin dominance, we're entering resistance. Okay. Site resistance, normal resistance, whatever. Doesn't matter. I think that's psychological because of how far back that goes. Okay. We're now entering it. So it would be normal to have a bounce, which would bring us down maybe 3% to this trend line. Okay. Again, here. There's a lot of mixed signals in the charts right now. On one hand, you can perfectly see and understand why. Oh, it's my. Okay, I don't know what's going on my stream. Oh no, it's just my computer by the looks of it. I'm starting to have a few problems for some reason. Okay, but you can understand from 2 points of view why people are calling for shorts. You can understand why people are calling for longs. Okay, on both sides, you really can. When you look at the charts, it's a confusing time for people. Okay, but the best we can do is play the chart. Okay, that's the best we can do. Doesn't matter what bias you're on, there is no right or wrong here. Particularly at this point, it's actually quite a confusing time. I don't think I've been so confused reading a chart in a long time. I can see why it's going to go down. I can see why it's going to continue. So right now, I'm like, what's going on? I need clear direction. But I'm leaning more on the bullish side. And that's why my trades at the minute, they're on a gamble port. Okay, that's why at the minute I'm going to play this long. My target is 120. you know, only play with low money because I don't have a lot, and you should never play with money that you can't afford to lose, period. If you're playing with money that you can't afford to lose, you've already lost. Okay. Cuckoo, I would absolutely love to go through Soul with you right now, but it's been about an hour and a half now. So I'm going to stop there. But if you drop me a message and reach out on Discord, in one of the chat channels or whatnot, all the links are in the bio. If you're not already in there, I think you are. Drop me a message, and tomorrow I'll go through Soul if you want and post it in the channels for you. But I don't want to bore everyone. It's been an hour and a half. I'm getting a bit tired of my throat, starting to cough up a little bit. On that note, again, you can understand why people are calling shorts, why people are calling longs. It's a really confusing area to be in. Okay, I'm betting more on the long side. I'm going off the charts. I'd say there's a 60-40% chance that we're long, 40% chance that we're short. Okay, if I was to run it up like that. But yeah, on that note, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope it's been eventful for you, and I hope to see you again. Peace out. And you too, Cuckoo. Thank you.